on the way here, there were no traffic lights. So that was crazy. And hopefully you're not experiencing really high winds where you are. So Maria's on now. So we're on my computer on my using my data. So we will make this very quick. If you have your agenda handy, the very first item is the status of UCare, and I think Scott and I will both do this one. First of all, a huge thank you for your help. It was so crazy because we had 3 solid weeks of everyone being out or in on spring break. And that was great because I'm glad that some of you got a chance to get away and do fun things. But it was crazy for UCare because it's like dead for 3 weeks. Hopefully, you got my emails and you are aware that I sent you the things that your teachers need to do to get caught up. We, in that regard, are working really hard to, kind of end things on a high note with UCare. I'll tell you more about the pay and what we're doing in terms of that as we go forward. But we had a chance to take a look at, or I did, some of your, well, we did. We met and looked at some of your videos from the fall, videos that the teachers did. And we had some really outstanding things that we saw, didn't we, Scott? You want to talk about that for a
No,
second?
there was some really good stuff that we saw, and I just and the three of us with Joan Bramble, we looked at them and spent a lot of time analyzing, looking at what it was we were seeing, have some really good discussions about some of the positive things we were seeing. So we appreciate what you did as in working with your teachers to get them attuned to the developmental implementation guide and helping them understand how important those videos are.
So, along with that, as we begin to wind down, I can't get that, there we go. As we begin to wind UCare down, we can't tell you how much we appreciate your work. This could not have been possible at all without you. And in that regard, we just don't want to end it with thanks, goodbye, and send you or your teachers an email. We'd like to have meetings, and I sent you a proposed schedule of how we could meet with all of you. Of course, I'm still recovering 9 weeks from total knee replacement surgery, so we'll see how I do with this. I have a kind of a limited distance that I can go, so unfortunately, we won't be able to go to Terra Academy, and I've sent her Christy a separate email about that, but we are really looking forward to seeing all of you. We kind of just want to have a discussion about what have you learned as a facilitator, what have your teachers learned, and we want to more specifically talk about the end of the grant and the next steps moving forward. Throughout the year, many of you have shared with me, oh, Becky, I'm not using my hours. And I said, don't worry about it. We're paying it forward. So we're hoping that as we promised those control schools that you would connect with them or someone would, that you kind of will have an opportunity to make that a priority for you next year and, connect with them. I know many of them are just absolutely chomping at the bit to know what you did. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what your teachers have learned, what the issues and concerns are that you've had through this grant. We know the pay was a huge one. And we again apologize for that. And as you know, neither Scott nor I have anything to do with that, which has been really difficult. So if you will take a look at the schedule that we put out, I've already had one person tell me that that won't work for them. So just go ahead and send me an email and we'll try to make adjustments as we can for those visits. So, Module 9 recording is item 3, and that is your community problem solving recording. Those should be winding down. And when we come out to visit, I've sent those envelopes to all of you. They went out last week through USBE. Hopefully you received that packet. If you didn't, look for it because we sent it probably. See, I drove those to USBE on Tuesday or Wednesday, and she put them right in the mail. So find those envelopes. There are the same small self-address or addressed to USBE prepaid envelopes in there. But if your teachers get through with that and they get that back to you, we can collect that when we come for your meetings. If they don't, they just need to drop those in the mail and they will get back to USBE. We kind of did it both ways, but we'd kind of like to talk to you about those recordings, what the teachers have said, how that went, but they should be moving forward with ending that. Now, we were at a training with Susie Ramos's school, and the teachers were just freaking out over those videos. And some of you have shared with me that they're doing that too. If the kids don't finish, don't worry about that. Have the kids share and the teachers share where they got to in the process, what happened, how well it worked, what were the bumps in the road, what were the things that were enjoyable. And then when you turn it on, when the teachers turn it on themselves, have them go ahead and just share what happened and why they didn't finish maybe, and little things that occurred. We're more concerned about the process really than we are the product, or having them have a final product. We know this is their first year in doing something like this. I've heard from many of them, many of them have said, it's really kind of cute, I didn't think I was going to be able to do this. And now the kids love it so much. I'm really enthusiastically supportive of having this happen in my classroom, and I plan to do it next year. And that just touched my heart. That's what we want to have happen. Okay, if you have a question about any of this, you can type and we can hear you, or turn off your mic or turn on your mic and you can speak to us. Do you have any questions about what we've talked about so far, especially the community problem solving SD recording? Okay. All righty. So now we'll talk about the assessments, and I'll let Scott have a minute or two to review sort of what he's done and where they are. And
all the end of year assessment packets went out last week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from Utah State University. So you will get, as a facilitator, a package from USU that's addressed to you, and then it will have all the packets for your schools, both control and treatment schools that are in your district or that you have charge of. If you are, and then the control schools that and treatment schools that don't have a facilitator. That would be actually control schools that don't have a facilitator. None of you actually probably need to know that, but that was mailed to their principal. So, so watch for those to be coming in the mail. The window for doing those assessments is April 23rd through May 11th. So coordinate that with whatever the school's SAGE testing is. Is it still called SAGE?
I don't know. Changes every time we turn around.
Yeah. So whatever that end of year assessment.
18th. You sure it's the?
No, it's the last week of April and the first 2 weeks. So
Okay.
whatever the dates are included in the in the packet itself. Inside the packet are the return envelopes already, so those aren't being sent separately this time. You've got all the information and all the materials that you will need in that packet, so that you can begin collecting assessments as they're completed right back. Any questions on that?
I want to add one more thing to that. 2 questions that I've received. One, yes, that is earlier than we did it last year. Last year we said you couldn't start until May 1st, But this year, so many schools get out early. I mean, we have schools that are, most of you are through by the 25th. Some are through by the 22nd of May. And so we expedited the process to get those in your hands and hopefully in your teachers' hands much sooner. On the email, I have sent 2 emails, I think 2, 1 or 2, to all of the teachers, giving them the information sheet that is in the packet so they can begin to plan. Also, the web link address to get onto the RI, the reading inventory, and the Scriptsies. And so if they have problems with that, again, their contact for that is Dr. Joan Bramble, because she's the one who has the rights to that. And again, remember, that's incredibly secured. That's the reason Joan is the only one who can help you and them with this, with any issues that occur on the reading inventory or the Scriptsies. And she can watch that. Remember, she's full-time principal, and so, but we can't believe the job she did. She was sometimes 3 in the morning helping teachers. So that same help is available should they have issues or concerns. So the links to that are exactly the same as they used in the fall.
Can this be the last question?
Okay. Let's go on and talk quickly about Module 12. Cheryl, I think you have your mic on. Can you mute that? Is it Cheryl? Cheryl or Christy, one of the 2 of you, have your mic on. So let's talk about Module 12. I want to begin by telling all of you that that second questionnaire that we had the teachers do, and you do as well, complete as well, was so helpful. And overwhelmingly, the teachers all said, we want a review of everything that was done. So we fashioned Module 12 to have sort of a real get together. Let's talk about what we learned. Let's talk about each of those, each of the strategies that we've taught throughout the last 3 years. Interestingly, if any of you belong to NAGC, and I meant to bring that with me, the NAGC, what's the name of the magazine?
Gifted Child Quarterly.
Gifted Child Quarterly for January was all about Title I schools. And I just absolutely loved it because it really substantiated some of the things that Scott and I have shared. Talked about characteristics, it talked about best practice for these kids, particularly from kids from high poverty situations, which many, most of you have those kind of students in your school. So I kind of took a look at several articles in there, and hopefully you've already experienced that PowerPoint. You can see that there are 2 this time. The first one sort of gives you general information about those articles, what they are, how they tied to the grant, what they shared, and what we, hopefully, the teachers can understand that what we have developed through UCare is indeed founded in good, strong research and best practice. One of the articles in there by Dr. Joyce Van Tassel-Baska, who is, many of you know, a curriculum expert, really spoke to me. And there were 8 items there in that article of things you should really touch and do that were significant for Title I schools. And as I looked at that and Scott and I talked about it, I was so happy that the things that we have taught the teachers fit in under those 8 things. So Module 1 is very much like the other modules we've done. Module 2, though, is really different because I start out, I give you information.
Video 1 and video 2.
Yeah, video 1 and video 2. Sorry, Module 12, video 1, video 2. Thanks, Scott. Video 2 is a little bit different. So I ask you after a few slides to stop the recording and have your handbook. Now, you saw, if you've downloaded all this, that we've made additions to the handbook that we did last year. It goes all the way through the program, and because the teachers asked for a glossary, we've added that as well. Also, the dig is in there. So this really becomes something that we're hoping they can use not just for Module 12, although that is what it is designed for, but they can have it handy to review the modules that they've done through UCARE and indeed the whole program. Because as I wrote in the front of it, I say, you will notice that the ideas move in order from Module 1 through Module 12. While it is impossible to include everything presented, we hope that these key ideas will serve as a foundation for the continued development of the strategies as you make them your own. And so next phase is as you begin to sort of distance yourself a little bit from those teachers who've been in the grant this year. It is my hope that you won't distance yourself too far and that you will continue the conversation with everyone in your treatment group and maybe even with your control teachers about how they are taking these things that we taught them and maybe tweaking them a little bit, making them their own so that it sustains itself. When we began this project, one of the things that we tried to do was take a look at program sustainability. You want to talk about that for a second, Scott, about how we wrote the grant in such a way that it was statewide? And
well, one of the things we want, one of the problems you always have with a grant is sustainability and the degree to which its purposes and programs are carried out afterward. And so one of the things that we hope to do, one of the things promises made to control schools is particularly in the school districts where there's both a control and treatment, that the expertise that has been developed in the treatment schools will now be shared with the control schools. So the degree to which you can accomplish that within your within your own district will be very much appreciated. Having said that, Becky and I are both willing to come down and do some trainings still as part of the grant. That if you want us to come and work with teachers in the control schools and so on, we'd certainly be willing to do that kind of thing. So especially me, because I'm still employed by the university, and I, even though it's not buying my time, it's not buying my, the grant isn't buying my time from university anymore. I still have I still have, as one of the benefits that we get at Utah State University, I have the opportunity to do 3 days of consulting a month. So if you want to tap into those from me, then I'd be available there to provide some of that training, especially with the control schools.
Thanks, Scott. Back to Module 12. So video 2 is different because I ask you to stop and then I take each of the 8 items from her article in Gifted Child Quarterly and list the strategies that we taught you that tie to that. Then I give everybody an assignment and say, in your group, use your handbook, go back to those strategies, review it quickly, have a discussion as to how those strategies fit in with each of those important points. When I sort of dreamed this up, I thought, what a better way. Teachers never get time to discuss anything with each other. So video 2 is all about letting everybody have time together. Then at the end of after you've done that for those 8 things, then I come on again and give teachers, which is again another thing they requested, what are suggestions I can have that I can give them to make this work for them in the future? How can I integrate it into what we are already doing? And I give you several slides of suggestions. Hopefully that will be useful, and obviously it will be important to have a conversation about that as well. And those teachers are so astute, they're so excellent that I know they will come up with additional ideas beyond what I suggested. So that's what Module 12 involves. It's tied to the handbook. We really worked hard to make this handbook substantive, something that they would enjoy. We really took pieces out of each of the videos and added it to it. I might add too that the very first first video takes you all the way back to characteristics, which is where we started. So it's kind of like coming full circle, talking about characteristics and then all the strategies that the teachers have learned all the way through to the very last strategies of houndstooth and the additional, oh my gosh, my head's gone dead. The last one you did on extension menus.
Just what
Yeah.
the teachers requested more information
Yeah.
about.
So we really listened in that second questionnaire to the ideas and things that you and your teachers wanted. We made them shorter, although this one is a little bit longer. But I wanted to find a way to bring closure to the grant and closure to the good work that they've all done. Any questions on Module 12? I also want to give credit, and I do so in the handbook, but I have to thank not only you, but in particular, give a special thanks to Moya Kessig, who's no longer here, because she was the first USB state liaison and really is the one who got UCare started. Jennifer Thronson is the current person with whom we've been working. Pam Talele, the grant secretary, Noralee Green, who helped us with the budget management, and most of all, Jerry Record, who has been recording all of our stuff. And if you look at videos, modules 1 and 2 that Scott and I did at his house in a crazy way, which we hope to be redoing this summer, you can see what a difference having a professional do those for us has made. And we haven't paid him anything. He's just really gone above and beyond, and we need to give him a lot of credit for that. So thank you, Jerry. And any questions about Module 12? Okay, let me know if there are issues or problems at your site, anything you need help with. I want to talk item number 6, the future of UCare. Scott alluded to it a little bit, but we were so excited this last Friday, I think, to find out that we can continue, that UEN will continue to host the grant, and all the modules will be available and still there for as long as we want them there. And there will be a way after the grant is finished for it to transition to public domain so that anybody can access the work that we've done. You will still have access the same way you do now. And so will your teachers, if they want to review things this summer or next year, we encourage them to do that. Then we also had thought that as we looked at the fall videos and found some that were just absolutely stellar, that we might want to do a different level of permission and put some of those up on the web this summer. So, and I still have everyone's emails, and so we'd send out an alert to you and to the teachers that we put something new up to try to help them, even though the grant has ended. And a little note about that. As facilitators, many of you have asked me over and over why we haven't put the teachers' videos up online. And the reason for that is that we didn't have permission to do that. The original permission was not to put it online for everyone to see. It was just for our purposes. And we emphasized over and over in those initial meetings that it was not evaluative. And so for anyone other than Scott and Joan and I, and it really gave us a handle on what we were doing, what we needed to change, what our practice, how we can make what we do better. And that was the intent of having those initial videos along with the discussions. And we will be looking at all of that data, discussions, videos, everything, to make sort of a final assessment about what happened with UCare. And that won't be due, however, until next November. And so there might be parts of that we will be able to share with all of you. We don't know yet what the results are, but hopefully we'll stay in touch with you and you can stay in touch with us and we'll let you know what happens. But we do plan, if we can, to do a different permission and have some of those videos be put online. Okay, UCare pay for the end of the year. Right away, when we began to have issues, I went to Pam. This was the very first thing. This was week 3 after my surgery, and I wasn't even supposed to be out and about, but I was so sick and tired of the hassles that we had. I have a facilitator who just was paid this week. So that's how crazy it's been when that money was promised in December and January. And I just apologize all over the place. Again, that wasn't anything to do with Scott or I. And there were just, if it could be, if a mistake could be made, it was made. And we just apologize for that. But right away, when I knew they remembered how to do it, I said to Pam, let's send it all in. So we're tracking what you've done and what they've done, but we have the payrolls absolutely being processed. So I tried all day today to find out more information about that. And Pam Taleli, who's our contact here, has sent 3 emails to the budget director, and we haven't heard back. But I will stay on this like stink on a skunk to make sure this happens. We already know there's a glitch in, or think there's a glitch in the literacy grants. And because that was such a problem last year, I will let all of you know exactly when that is fixed. I have the numbers. Control schools will be getting
$300.
control. We upped that money this year. So control schools will be getting 300. Treatment schools will be getting $600. And it will come probably with Javits listed again. And because that was a real problem, I will try to let you know exactly when that is processed so that you can go find it and it doesn't get lost in the hinterlands. So we, 2 things.
Rebecca?
We have, just sec, we have processed the already, and Pam has sent those to payroll to be paid, and we're working on the literacy grants. Was that Shari? Did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question on that because the state sent the money back in the fall and then asked our district to send back money. I've been working that out with our business department and the state. Part of the problem is the communication between the states and the district on how that's handled with benefits. Because benefits is 32% right now.
Yeah, and I honestly, when they told us that they were going to shoot all the money to districts, what they said was teachers will have to be responsible for paying benefits out of that money. Scott and I balked at that. We said we don't think that's fair, but we got nowhere. So Shari, again, this is not us. So any concerns have to go to USBE, not us. I mean, I just can't do anything.
If it goes through the district's payroll, the pay to you and to the teachers, they're going to take out the benefits, and that's just the way it operates. And you know, the way you get that back is you know, you file your income tax return. Speaking of, you know, since those are all due tomorrow now, and there's nothing we can do about that.
We were told initially that it would pretty much be 6s, but in hearing all of you, you know, the upsetness, that's a word, that went out there, it isn't. But honestly, we have absolutely no control. And I think well, any concerns need to go to Jennifer Thronson. And there's a budget lady who's in charge of it all named Diane, but I don't even remember her last name. So Shari, all I can tell you is, I know, let me tell you what initially happened. For one thing, it could have been worse. Salt Lake School District, $11,000 in charter school money was sent to Salt Lake District. Almost all the charter school money for the entire state of Utah was sent to Salt Lake District. that took 3 months to untangle and figure out how to get that back because all of this is electronic money. And it's crazy. And I understand that that just happened maybe 3 weeks ago. But the reason that I did this so quickly is hopefully they'll remember these glitches or remember how they fixed them and get it right this time. But that's all I can tell you is it's crazy. Anything else? Concerns, problems, be sure to send me an email. Let me know where you are, especially with the recording of the SD cards.
Now, just to clarify, Shari, the money that's going to the schools, that should go that'll go to your district, and then you find that and get that sorted out within your district so that each school gets the amount that it's supposed to get. Again, that's $600 for the treatment schools, $300 for the control schools. And
Yeah.
that, there shouldn't be any benefits being taken out of that money at all. That's completely a separate
Although we
kind of
do have a
expenditure.
district that
We
tried
have-
to do that
We have one district that tried to do that.
and their hands were slapped. They were told they cannot take benefits out of the Liberty grant monies.
So they came up with a good solution to that, and the district leadership in that district was very good about finding a solution
Right.
so that the districts got the money that they were supposed to for those grants. But as far as the personnel pay, when we were told by the state that they were going to send that through the district payroll systems, one of the unintended consequences was then benefits are going to be taken out.
Yeah. Which then they would have had to pay benefits legally anyway.
Well, yeah,
And that was
Year
their
from the
rationale. That was
you
their
know,
rationale.
so what that does is it saves the state having to create all those 1099s.
Yeah.
And instead, the districts, just add that to the W-2s that they send to the district people. So it's it's one way or another. And you talk about your benefit rate. My benefit rate on my contract with the state is 48%.
Gosh.
Yeah, that's the negotiated agreement between that's Utah State University's current rate for grant money on that, and I
Yeah.
I'm not thrilled about that either.
My
But
other
I did.
question-
On the other hand, I am getting a pretty good refund this year. So
My other question was on the testing and assessment. The packets say May 18th, but I thought I heard you say May
I thought
11th.
they
Can you
did.
just clarify
okay,
that?
I
So
take
I
it
was
back.
right. Yay!
So I gave you 4 weeks then. I gave you the last week of April and 3 weeks in May.
I really need the 11th to the 18th because I'm meeting with
Thank
those
you,
teachers
Shari.
on the 9th.
All righty. So you got your packet already, and I stand corrected. I thought we just gave you a 3-week window.
Thank you for giving me 4. I needed 4.
Everybody
Alrighty.
needs 4.
All righty. It goes to the 18th.
One more thing. I have a little bit more empathy with these grants and how the payout here when I've been up here so much. I mean, trying to get one of the facilitators paid. I was up here almost every day trying to figure it out and push them. And there are so many grants that roll through here. Jennifer Thronson oversees 27 grants. They aren't all federal, but many of them are. And so trying to keep track of all that, and that's just one person. I have a little bit more different sort of perspective about the workload here. And if you go in their budget department, they're really like 3 people. So I'm trying to be patient. So one of the things to know, and I've told your teachers this, it is against the law for USB to keep money that belongs to the teachers. So it will be paid out. There's no way they'd be in violation of multiple laws, and they are very careful about being above board in all of their operations here. And so teachers will get their money eventually. Well, thank you all. It's almost 4 o'clock and we apologize for the snafu. We do have lights on here again, but I will let you all go, and please stay in touch with me if there's anything I can do to help you with those recordings as they end the year, or as you go through the handbook. If you find anything that is awry, please send me an email. Oh, one more thing. during the video one, we talk about the excellence gaps. I have to say that right because on the video when we were recording, I kept calling it excellent and had to redo it. So the excellence gaps, I've linked NAGC's position statement right there with module 12 in case you want to take a look at that or your teachers do. That's kind of an interesting thing in the world of gifted and talented education that we talk about a lot. So thank you.
Rebecca, I had one other question.
Okay.
You talked about our time logs and front loading. I'm one of those that I don't really have much that happened in March. I mean, I had some small emails. Are you okay that if I just front load time knowing I'm going to be spending time this summer
Yep.
and in the fall as I touch base with teachers?
Shari, absolutely. And I've shared their, I mean, I've had a couple of facilitators who've had family issues coming up and different things and several have felt badly about not being able to do the allotted time. And I just,
I'm not that nice. I don't feel bad about it, but
okay, well, they did, some did. And so I just say, yeah, you're front loading it. We want you to carry this on, especially to the control schools next year.
Well, and I plan to use quite a bit of this with training that I do when I bring in teachers district wide for gifted services advocates. I want to go through the modules again and pull some of this. You're saving me time, but I'll review it and then I'll do some of this training district wide.
Well, that's great. And that reminds me, when this ends, so next year, this is another question that a teacher asked me. She said, can I teach this, what I've learned to the other teachers in my building next fall? Absolutely. We would love them to do that.
Please do so.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Michelle, looks like Angie and Cheryl are left. We had many more on, but thank you. And
Actually,
maybe
you've got
hopefully
more.
we'll.
It's just you need to scroll down.
Oh, yeah. Let's see who's on. You know, I'm gonna say, okay, Christy, Maria, Petra, and Shari are all on, and Michelle and Angie. Thank you all to all of you, and we'll chat when we see you.